You are listening to episode 133 of the Confident Coaches podcast, the one where you walk away with the only 3 things you need to make 100K as a coach. Yep, let's go. Welcome to the Confident Coaches podcast, a place for creating the self-confidence you need to do your best work as a life coach. If you want to bring more boldness, more resilience, and more joy to your work, this is the place for you. I'm your host, Amy Latta. Let's dive in. Hey, Coach, it's Amy. How is everybody doing? I'm doing fabulously. I'm recording this on my son's 16th birthday, and we've had a wonderful day, and I can't wait to just pour all of the love that I'm feeling into you today. And I keep thinking this is going to be a short and sweet episode, but I always say that. I always think that, and then I always go off on little tangents. But I really think that this is a quick and easy episode. And when you leave, by the time you get to the end of this episode, you will know exactly what you need to make as much money as you want as a life coach. I stand by that claim. That is a bold claim, and I stand by it. Everything you need to go from free to paid coach, everything you need to go from paid coach to 100K coach. And honestly, even though this isn't a program that I personally offer, everything you need to go from 100K coach to multiple K coach, and even 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, and beyond. Yeah, that is the power of the 3 things I am sharing with you today. And it's really funny. I want to note as a side note, I think I might have mentioned it in last week's episode, where I was talking with a coach friend of mine. I was like, I just wish there was a coach that brought these 3 things together. And as I'm saying it, she's looking at me and I'm looking at her and I'm like, yeah, okay, I hear it. I see it. I got it. It's me. So each of my 2 programs, if you want to work with me, you can actually work with me 3 ways, right? You can just be my free client, listen to the podcast every week, follow me on social media, take any training I give. And then you can work with me 2 ways as a paid client. My free to paid coach program, that's my entry level $1,000. You're in it forever. You still get weekly coaching with me, plus all of my intellectual property that is brilliant. You get all of that. Or Path to 100K, and that's my 6-month mastermind. That's where we really deep dive and we replicate everything that you're doing that's working to get you to 6 figures and beyond. You're going to get these 3 things in those 2 paid programs. The goal of the 2 paid programs is different. So how these things are delivered, how they're presented, how we utilize them, how you will learn to use them will be different depending on which program that you're in. Because in free to paid coach, your goal is just knowing how to sign paid clients, right? You get the exact steps on how to become a paid coach. Actually, I just delivered a clickable PDF for all of the members so that they know exactly where to go in the program to go get exactly what they need. So everything, step by step, how to become a paid coach, and then how you handle the emotional shit show that comes from taking all of those exact steps that get you to paid coach. Because anyone who thinks, oh, I'm just going to follow this blueprint, I'm just going to follow this map, and you don't think you're going to be experienced, like, oh, there's a map somewhere that exists where I don't have to experience being a human. No, you need both things side by side. And you are elevating your brain to that of a paid coach, to think like a paid coach so that you become a paid coach. That's the goal of free to paid coach. In Path to 100K, the goal is to become a 6-figure coach, to make $100,000 as a coach, to learn how to replicate everything that's working and to find what you truly love in your business and to keep doing that, to learn how to identify what's not working for you, even if it's creating results for you. I actually have a client this week who he's realizing that everything he does that works, it's not really working for him because it's very fear-driven, it's very force-driven, and he kind of hates it. So how can we stop doing that and find what does work? Because you're also, in that program, you're elevating your brain to that of a 100K coach, to think like a 100K coach so that you become a 100K coach. And both programs are delivered on that framework to freedom scale that I introduced to you last episode. If you haven't listened to last week's episode about framework to freedom and the scale of framework to freedom, it is really been a game changer inside the programs as I am now identifying clients where they are on that framework to freedom scale. We find out where you are, how much of a framework do you need, like how much of a do this, don't do that, these are the rules, this is what has worked for me and for other people, and go do this, a framework, versus how much freedom do you actually need? How much freedom would actually fuel you? Like on that spectrum, like how much freedom would actually fuel you? This is more like that go fuck it attitude, more of a do things no one else is doing, a truly uniquely you business that doesn't look like anything anybody else has done. Everybody falls a little bit different. And that's why I like this balancing between the two and helping you find where you are on that framework to freedom spectrum, knowing that there is no right or wrong answer. There's no ideal place, but what's the place for you that's going to motivate you the most and create the most confidence for you so that you can go do those things in those two programs. So all of that is inherent, even though the goals are different. You're going to get that in both programs, and you're going to get that through the way I deliver. And I deliver through these three things that every coach needs. And here is what they are. The three things are actually super simple, but how I deliver them to you, how I use them to help you achieve those two different goals in those two different programs, that's what's truly unique. And that's what we're going to dive into in this episode. So the three things are pretty simple. You need these three things: deep dive coaching, dismantling the patriarchy in your thinking, and connection with your inner knowing. That's it. For real. That's all you need. Really good deep coaching, finding the patriarchy and getting rid of it, and like just connecting on yourself in a deeper level than you ever have before. That's all you need. Okay, bye. I told you it was a short episode. Boom. Like less than 8 minutes. Let's go. So the first one is what I mentioned of the deep dive coaching. So what do I mean by this? So I often coach my clients to familiar places. Like somebody will bring something that is this topic over here, and it brings us back to, let's just do a for instance of, oh, yeah. Okay, this is that inadequacy story that I have. So the circumstance could be any number of things. The results that are going on in your life can be any number of things, but will frequently come down to, oh, this is that inadequacy story. These are places that you are familiar with. These are places that your self-coaching often takes you to. And there's nothing wrong with this coaching. Right? This is what we all do. The only job you have is to show your clients their thinking, and you can create dramatic change in a client, and you create dramatic change in your life just by seeing how your thoughts, what they're creating for you, and as your coach, me just reflecting back to you what you say. And this just happened today. I just had a client in the free to paid coach live coaching call say to me, well, when I hear you say what I just said, I actually don't believe it anymore. Huge, right? That's dramatic change just to hear what I'm thinking reflected back to me. That's the kind of coaching that can truly be that simple and that powerful. And most of the work we do in the free to paid coach is that level of thinking, coaching to the surface. This is like helping your clients feel 2% better so that they can take the next step forward. Right? I give you exactly the steps that you need, but the bullshit emotional roller coaster, the bullshit emotional shit show keeps coming up. So let's get you coached up so that you can take the next step forward, and then the next step, and then the next step. And this will change your life, and this will get you paid clients. Yes. Sometimes, though, we keep coaching back to that same surface. And especially if you have a good self-coaching practice, you may see, oh, we're back here again. Like at first it'll be like, oh, we're back here again. And then after a while it becomes, oh, we're back here again. And this place, this kind of surface, coming back to the same surface, this is often described as the river of misery. All the crap that doing big things brings up, fear and guilt and shame and inadequacy and fear of judgment. Like For you to go from free to paid coach, you have to cross a river of misery. It's going to bring up all of that stuff. I'm going to give you the pathway to cross it, but you're still going to have to experience the crossing of it. And so we're going to get you coached up so that you can keep moving along that river of misery. And this is that coaching to that surface level stuff that keeps coming up so it doesn't have to stop you anymore. But all coaches eventually come to this place where it's like, okay, what's up with this inadequacy? Like, we keep coming back here. There it is again. Why is that what's waiting for you on the surface? What's under that surface? What's the undercurrent to the river of misery you keep finding yourself in? It's like the river of misery is why your cave woman brain, your Helga brain, freaks you out. But what's under the current is what's freaking your cave woman brain out. And if we can shine a light on that, if we can dive under the surface, you actually get through that river of misery so much faster because you're finding out what's fueling it in the first place. That's the meaty stuff. That's the real good, meaty stuff that we can chew on and we can work through. This is the stuff that you're like, oh my God, yes, that's why. This is that like, holy shit kind of coaching. I love this coaching. I live for this coaching. This is the kind of coaching that you get the tingles from. You know what I mean? So when you're like, oh, here's the icky model. I see it. I solved it. Now what do I need to think and feel instead? And I'm like, hold on, come back with me. Wait a minute. Before we hop out of this river of misery into a nice little lifeboat for feel goods for a while here, let's stay here for just a minute. This is the work that I had to do to become Master Coach certified. This is the work that, I had to do that taught me how to swim under that surface. This is the work that I'm doing a lot of this work in the advanced certification for feminist coaching that I'm in right now. I'm really just enhancing that work that I did to become Master certified. Plus, years of doing my own deep diving where I've taken the coaching that I get and I purposely dive into the uncomfortables and see what's really going on there. What's under the surface? When you see what Helga uses to scare you, you can take powerful steps forward. But when you uncover what scares Helga, that's the deep dive coaching. You change everything. That's what changes everything. And that leads us to the second thing every coach needs, and that is that dismantling of the patriarchy from your thinking. Now, I did an entire podcast just at the end of March, how patriarchy is standing in the way of getting paid. So I'm not going to rehash all of that. It's worth a listen if you haven't heard it already. I can tell you that just in the past 2 months since I recorded that episode, I've already learned so much more and implemented so much more. And so this patriarch work just keeps getting better in both programs. Now, a lot of what scares your Helga brain, that's your cave woman brain, is simply the human condition. And there's no off-ramp to the human condition. Like, we are not going to avoid that. And this is that stuff, again, cave woman brain. This goes back to our tribal days where being part of a pack literally meant life or death. Like, this is our innately human stuff that we all deal with. It's that primal brain that we don't overwrite. That's the stuff that's been written into our DNA from the stars, like since the dawn of time, right? But much of what scares Helga is actually patriarchal, colonial, and hierarchical structures that have been in place for centuries and even millennia. And when we see, oh, of course you feel inadequate in making offers because we understood for centuries that only those at the very top are allowed to speak out and influence people. And oh, of course you feel actual terror right now making an offer. Like, our life is not in danger. Why do I feel actual terror? But of course we feel that because when our ancestors did speak out, 500 years ago, your great-great-great-great-great-grandmother, when she spoke out and tried to influence people and said, hey, something that's going on here, there's another way, she was persecuted. And there's some serious epigenetics going on there of generational trauma written into our DNA that's screaming danger, danger when we stand out. This is why I love deep dive coaching, because we are uncovering two things, right? Like, we know that the surface level coaching that helps you move forward, that's Helga scaring you, but deep dive coaching. And then when we pair it with this patriarchal work, we're really identifying what scares Helga. Is this like the deep written into our DNA from the very beginning tribal work of like, I need to fit in and be a part of this crowd and I can't stand out because the saber-toothed tiger is going to kill me? Or is this the speaking out is dangerous in this patriarchal run societies and the lynch mob is going to come get me? Taking the deep dive coaching, the meaty goodness, to then discover if it's more tribal fears or more patriarchy-driven fears can just help us understand why we think what we're thinking, why we feel what we feel, and why we're doing what we're doing. That you aren't crazy or weird or wrong. Nothing has gone wrong here. There's nothing inherently wrong with what you're doing. This doesn't mean you should quit just because you're thinking and feeling and doing those things. And now that you see it, and now that you understand where it's coming from, rather than just try to feel better about it, you can make decisions about what to do about it, right? So that surface level coaching is like, oh, I've identified the stuff, and now let me go feel better about it so I can move forward. But when you really uncover it with the deep dive coaching, you can make decisions about what to do about it next. This is what allows you to reconnect with your own power. When we've stripped away, oh, this is like a tribal primal fear, or no, this is like a patriarchal hierarchical fear. I see them. I understand where this is coming from. This isn't a sign that's gone wrong. Now I get to decide what I want to do instead. Now that we've found the source of the terror, that's what allows you to reconnect with your own power. When you no longer feel powerless to this crazy brain that's always throwing these things out at you. And that leads to the third thing every coach needs to make that 100K, which is connecting to your own power. This is connecting with your inner knowing. Now, this is newer work that I've introduced to the programs, even though it's not new work to me specifically. I just haven't really focused on teaching it to my clients. We've really focused on the coaching. We focused on changing your thoughts. We focused on some of this connection. Now, be clear, I haven't not taught this at all. I've taught self-connection through future you work. You in the future who has it all figured out. You've heard me talk about it on this podcast. This is how you create what you want by thinking and feeling and doing what you in the future would do. There's episodes just regarding future you in this podcast. You know, it's about becoming the person who makes 100K before you actually make the 100K. And that shit works. Let me tell you, pulling forward to the future works for thousands of coaches. It worked for me. It's worked for over 100 of my own clients. That's good stuff. But much like coaching you through the river of misery versus coaching you through the undercurrent of that river, we can actually take it even further. And that's by connecting to your inner knowing. What's the difference between inner knowing and future you? Inner knowing is what you were born with, before the rules and the tribal connections and the patriarchy colonized your brain, before we piled on the shit that you're now trying to uncover for yourself. Your inner knowing is the universe manifested in you. It is creation, using you as the tool to deliver the message that you need to deliver to Earth and to the humans and what they need to hear. Your inner knowing is innate. It is God or Allah or universe given. It is in all of us. It is unique to each of us, and it is who you are born to be. Future you is the realization of your inner knowing. And you are here in the middle, right? Inner knowing is what you have. It's what you've had since birth. Then we went and we piled all the shit on top of it. And future you is who has created what your inner knowing knew was always possible. And all of the work that I've done in terms of self-connection has been all about connecting to that future you. Now when we add inner knowing to it, holy mother trucker. This is like, talk about meaty, talk about chills, talk about thrills. Holy yes, sign me up for more. I will have what she's having, right? Because with the deep meeting coaching, I keep saying meeting, and it's meaty, with the deep, meaty coaching that finds the undercurrent of shit getting in your way. And then we are identifying and dismantling and rewriting the patriarchal and hierarchical structures in your thinking. It's so much easier to actually connect with that inner knowing in that future you. Like, we can clear out the bullshit so you can be like, hi, I'm Amy. It's great to meet yourself, right? Like, did you know that's all we're doing here? Is we're just meeting ourselves. We're just meeting ourselves on a deeper layer every week as we go along. Your inner knowing knows what you love and what you hate and what you are uniquely stellar at and were made to do, what you were built to create, rather than just following some other person's system. And future you, who has used that inner knowing to create the future you are headed to, both of them are right here. You don't actually have to dig deep and far. They are available to you right now, and they are available to you all of the time. It's a myth and a lie that you cannot access them right now. We just haven't been taught very well how to do that. And I am going to teach you exactly how to do that. You're going to learn exactly how to do that at the 3-day live event that kicks off the 6 months of the Path to 100K Mastermind. You're going to deep dive into all 3 of these elements in the 3-day event so that you leave the event knowing exactly who you are, exactly how you help, what to say to your audience, why you even want to say it in the first place, why you can't not do this, and your plan to actually scale to 100K. You're going to leave the 3-day event knowing exactly how to replicate everything that's working, how to let go of what's not. You're going to know exactly what you love and what you absolutely hate about you in your business and what's in your business and what you want to get rid of. You're going to know exactly who you are and how you help your people and how to say it to them. And you're going to know exactly what your brain as a 100K earner looks like so that we can spend the next 6 months getting you there, getting you closer to that person who's already created that week after week. I am currently planning that 3-day event. I can't wait to share the details as we get closer to the launch for the next mastermind. And when we launch, you'll apply. You're going to enroll in June, get yourself ready for in July, and then you're going to meet me and your mastermind brothers and sisters in St. Louis the first week of August for the live event. And then we coach together for the next 6 months through the end of next January. Here's the thing that I think is so important. The 3 things every coach needs to become 100K, they just help you see all of the pieces before you, that you have everything you need. They aren't giving you anything you don't already have. They're helping you access everything that you already have. And the super important difference between that. Yes, I can give you exact plans. Remember, we're going to figure out where you are on that freedom to framework scale. I can give you exact plans. Go do this, don't do that. But we're going to be using these tools of deep, meaty coaching and dismantling the patriarchy in your brain and connecting with your inner knowing so that you need less framework and feel more freedom as you build your business, because that's where the competent coaches part comes in. That's what's really going to create the confidence for you. I am merely the alchemist by your side to help you transform all the pieces that are already there into that 100K coaching business that you want to create. So doors open to the August round of Path to 100K Mastermind in June. Get on the wait list right now. amylatta.com/mastermind will take you to a wait list. And when you are on the wait list, you'll be the first ones who get a chance to apply when the details drop. You're going to get the details sooner than everybody, and you're going to be able to go ahead and apply. And I can't, over the course of the next few weeks, share with you how these tools that I've shared over the past few weeks actually help you solve the problems that you are facing. Like any given Tuesday at 1 p.m., when you are struggling with X, this is how we're going to help you get to Y. This is the work that we are doing in the mastermind right now, and we are waiting for you inside. This is the place, this is the program that you have been waiting for. And until next week, let's get paid, coach. Coaches, I have created a brand new freebie offer just for you podcast listeners. I created a brand new training called Stop Overcomplicating Confidence because I see my coaches do it all the time, make this confidence thing way harder than it has to be. In this free training, you're going to learn exactly how you overcomplicate confidence, what's creating that, and how to stop it. Here's the best part. All of it, less than an hour. Less than an hour of your time. You will feel more confident in less than an hour, right? Yeah, friends, this is the best training I've ever done. So visit amylatta.com/podcast gift to get yours. Again, that's amylatta.com/podcast gift. Go now and feel more confident in just an hour. Thanks so much for listening to the Confident Coaches podcast. I invite you to learn more. Come visit me at amylatta.com. And until next week, let's go do epic stuff.